Hello, amazing people. I want to welcome everyone to another episode of Bloom. This topic that we're going to have today is to celebrate an amazing woman, an amazing entrepreneur who had breast cancer. And I am so excited to celebrate her life, and just how open she has been with her entire journey and having such vulnerability. For people who know me personally, I also want to tell the people who do not know me personally that cancer is something near and dear to my family. We lost my dad at the latter part of 2019 to cancer. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to celebrate someone, whether they are in the midst of their journey or they're on the other side of their journey. This topic that we're going to talk about today is an opportunity for us to learn from someone else's experience and to also grow and take accountability for our own lives, and bring an awareness and maybe recognize some things that we should be doing to keep ourselves, our bodies, and our minds mentally strong as well. So our next guest, Glennidra Ruiz, is an entrepreneur. She lives in Louisiana. She's a mother and a wife and a mother of 3 beautiful children. She is a lover of God. She is just a ray of sunshine. I told her that, I have not met her personally, but I interact with her so much on social media, and I feel like she is a friend of my soul. And it's just been amazing to celebrate her. And I just want to welcome everyone here to Bloom, and let's go ahead and bring her out. Hi, Glennidra.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing well. I want to welcome Debbie and Barbara Lott, saying it's time to bloom. Let's bloom, guys.
Hello,
So as
everybody.
everyone continues to check in with us, please go ahead and comment in the comment box. Let us know that you're here. We'll go ahead and get started. But we want to welcome everyone to the discussion today. It's very interactive. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to insert them into the comment box below. So Glennidra, for people who are not familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from originally, just a little bit about your life?
Absolutely. So, first off, my name is Glennidra Ruiz. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 3. I'm an entrepreneur in the health and wellness industry. I'm originally from Mississippi, but living in Louisiana for many years. So now I can call Louisiana my home. So yeah, and I enjoy spending time with my family. That's like right at the top for me.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, family is extremely important.
Yes.
So you said you work you're in the health and wellness industry. I know previously your passion originally originated as beauty and fashion. We can tell that you love design and beauty by your
Yes.
flawless skin and your clothes. Can you tell us how you discovered your new passion for fitness and like healthier living?
Well, like I said, my passion for beauty and fashion started at a young age. But it
Hmm.
wasn't until I was diagnosed with breast cancer did my mind start to shift into the health and wellness industry.
Hmm.
So that is where my heart is now. That is what aligns with my life, and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome, awesome. A lot of people, I want people to comment below. I see Kim is here, Shayna. Thank you all for joining us. Have you all met anybody or have any family members who have had any experiences with cancer? I was doing some research recently, and I saw that 44% of Americans have actually, had cancer or have known someone to actually have had cancer. So it's affecting a lot of us, but I know a lot of people may not be open about their experience. And I've shared before that, my dad, he had cancer for about 10 years. You and I were talking about that. And he chose not to say anything. And that's okay, And Glennidra, I told you also, I typed up several messages to you because you were very open about your experience
Yeah.
as you were going through everything on social media. And I was just like, wow, her story is just so inspirational.
Hmm.
And that's just another reason why I really wanted to have you, on the show. So can you tell me, like, how did the news like really change you and affect your journey in life? And then how did you find the strength to like persevere?
Well, I really thought that I was going to be in the beauty industry for a very long time because I truly do enjoy every aspect of it. But it wasn't until, I was diagnosed that I started to think about what was more important right now and what really aligned more with my life right now.
Hmm.
So I found the strength to persevere, if I'm saying that word right,
Yeah.
through God and my family. Because I
Mm.
felt like when there were times when it just got difficult for me, where I had days where I felt like I really don't know if I'm gonna make it through this. I could always go to God or my family, and I would always find peace with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would imagine during times like this, you really find out who's really for you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you have any moments where you just like, it just reaffirmed something that you already knew as far as like, who were the ones who were going to be with you through this journey and maybe who weren't the ones that were going
Oh
to,
yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah. The people that you really think are going to be there for you during something like this, sometimes it turns out to be not the case. And you have to really
Mm,
be prepared for that. And also, it ends up being where you thought you really think you know somebody, but until you really, to something like this really touch your life, you really don't know that person, because something like this just brings out the best qualities in people. And
mm-hmm.
it's just amazing and beautiful to watch, to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, but for the most part, I knew who was really going to be there for me. Hmm.
Okay. That makes sense. So my mother-in-law, she said my mother's family had several members who had cancer. Both grandparents died of cancer. My husband's sister had breast cancer. So, that's a very good point. And I thank you for sharing that with us because I know, you know, in knowing that you've lost family members, that brings about a lot of pain. And so there's vulnerability in you sharing that. But I also want to ask you now, did you have family members with a history of breast cancer? Like, how did you actually find out that you had it?
Um, Well, in the beginning, I did not have a whole lot of family history. Because you know how when you go to the doctor and you have to fill out the little questionnaire, and they always ask if there's diabetes, if there's cancer, I would always mark no, because I
Hmm.
didn't know. But it was only until I was diagnosed that I found out that not only did I have cancer on my mom's side, but it was on my dad's side as well.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's like people choose not to talk about those things, but
Yeah.
I just find that it's important. You need to talk about those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're bringing up a very good point because, like you said, I can relate. There's a lot of history of different diseases and things like that on my side of the family that I had no idea about until my dad, unfortunately, was dying.
Yeah.
So, just another beautiful thing that's coming out of you being vulnerable and sharing your story because I hope that the people who are out there who are watching are knowing that there's a benefit to being open and sharing family medical history, not only with doctors, but
Hmm.
your children and your
Children.
family members as well.
Hmm.
Because, there may be certain things that we can do to prevent it ahead of time. And I know doctors will have a lot of information on that. Have they talked to you about anything like that? Or even if it's dietary changes or anything like that, or
Well, yes. Exercise, dietary
mhm.
changes. I was fortunate not. I didn't have to go through the chemo and all of that. I thank God every day for that.
Thank you. Yes.
But um, that's kind of where taking both of my breasts off comes into play, because I feel like if they felt like if I hadn't have done that, I would have so many problems down the line, because my breast tissue is so dense. And every time a doctor would do a screening, they would want to send me for biopsy, because they would think, oh my God, there's something there. Because
Mm.
breast tissue and cancer looks almost the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, not until I was diagnosed and started connecting with other women that I learned that so many other women have dense breast tissue. So, my surgeon wanted to prevent that. She's like, I don't want to take you through that. Like, you're going to be going through so many unnecessary biopsies, because they're going to think, oh my God, there's something there. Once they do a biopsy, they're going to know that there's nothing there. So, I was like, you know what? To minimize my chances of this coming back and going through all of this stuff, just take them both off. I was so at peace with it, you know. Yeah.
Was it challenging to make that decision, or did you just feel like that was like the right thing to do?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because I'm young, you know.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
like to, I'm young, I like to go to the beach and wear the low cut swimsuits and I like to wear the low cut tops. I didn't really want to be without breasts. I thought that I
Yeah.
just had to have them.
Yeah.
But I had to come to reality and say, hey, either it's my life or it's my breast. And I chose the latter part of that. So,
There you go. And you still look amazing. You really do. You still look amazing. You
yeah.
still look amazing. So, what type of structure did you provide in your life? Did you require in your life as you were going through, a mastectomy and all these different things, when you were like at your toughest times?
Like you wanted to know like who was my strongest support structure?
Yeah, who was your strongest support system and things like that?
Well, I would have to say my husband was and still is because, there were days where like I said, I just didn't think that I would get through this. Like I had a lot of days like that. And no matter what I was going through, I could always go to him and he would always have the right encouraging words.
Oh,
He would allow me to cry it out if I needed to. And that's what I appreciate the most. He just loved me where I was at. And I'm just most thankful for that. Yeah.
that's so beautiful. A lot of times I believe that, when we get married, it's all like roses and it's prayerful. I hope that it stays like that forever, but you just never know what you're going to go through in life. And I would imagine, and you could probably shed a lot of light on this too, that sometimes when you first get married, you argue about things that are really small, and it's really not a big deal. And I'm sure your whole perspective shifts once you have a life-changing experience like this. And so
Yeah.
I hope that, it brings people together. But, I just think it's beautiful when I see a couple who have weathered the storm and they grow closer together like you and your husband had. I
And
just think that's phenomenal.
people may look at that and like, okay, he's your husband, this is what he's supposed to do, but you would be so surprised to know the couples that have split after a cancer
Hmm.
diagnosis. It's
Hmm.
amazing how husbands leave their wives because they feel like they cannot deal with it. So that's why I feel blessed because it's a lot to deal with. It's not anything easy at all.
Yeah.
It affects every part of your life, every part of your marriage. And it's just really important when a spouse sticks by your side when you're going through something like this. So for me, I just feel blessed. I really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I've known people also where, they're having health issues and, their partner, just like you said, just leaves them. And I just think that it's just so heartless.
Very heartless.
And I mean, that's when like you say, that's when you need somebody the most. And I just think it's beautiful when you have someone that that will be there for you. And like you said, it shifts your whole perspective of things that are a priority to you and in your life. So at this stage, like what keeps you motivated? How do you stay like what do you say to women who may have a sense of defeatment when it comes to their life and their story and their journey? Like what keeps you inspired?
Um, I would have to say what keeps me motivated are my children, my three children, because they watch me and I don't want them to see me give up, right? I always instill in them to never give up under any circumstances on what you want out of life.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me motivated. What I would say to a woman that feels defeated is it's normal to feel that way sometimes, but the key to
Hmm.
that is just not to stay there. You know, um,
Yes.
you must remain diligent. Whatever you set out to do, just make sure you carry it through to completion. And that's just something I
Mm,
tell myself all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that you were this strong prior to having the diagnosis?
Who, I always knew that I was a strong woman, but going through something that's so life changing as this is, I always thought that it took just a different type of strength that I didn't think I had. So
Hmm.
that was something I had to come to terms with as well. I just didn't think I had the strength.
Yeah, but you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. And
Yeah.
that's the amazing thing about women. I mean, we are just so strong. We're stronger than we realize. And a lot of times other people can see our strength more than we can.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, of being surrounded by a strong circle who's going to encourage you and make you feel empowered.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely happy that you had that support system throughout your journey and that you continue to have it as well.
Mm-hmm.
How did your children take the news? How did you all, tell them?
It was hard. It was
Do
hard
you have any
because
advice for people who may be in a similar situation on how to, tell their children?
um you just have to be honest with them. Don't hold anything back. I did not realize how strong my children were. My children were stronger than I was. When I was told that I had cancer, I did not handle it the way they did when I told them. So you just have to be honest, be upfront with them, because like I said, you just don't know where you're gonna pull your strength from. And a lot of my strength was pulled from my kids. They handled it
Mm,
well, really well. My son, he was like, Mama, he was like, I know what the paper says, but I'm telling you, you're gonna be fine. He just kept saying that. And at that moment, you don't want to hear that because what this disease has done to so many precious people.
yeah.
It's hard for you to, there's days when it's hard for you to see the sun peeking from over the clouds. And it's like when he would
Mm,
tell me that, I would be like, I wanted to believe that. And then another part of me was just so devastated. But he would always tell me that all the time, no matter what they tell you, I know in my heart that you're going to be fine.
mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, children are absolutely amazing. So that
Yeah.
just warms my heart to know that your children were, had that level of strength and were so powerful in their conviction and just speaking life. They were literally speaking life back into you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And a lot of times, even with, my children, my friends' children, sometimes I feel like, are we raising them or are they raising us?
Right.
It's like, wow, what you said is so profound. Like, I just cannot believe it. And it's just so beautiful to know that these little beings have, this amazing spirit. And, that's just beautiful. I want to also highlight Alicia's here. She said, thank you for sharing your story. You are
Hi,
inspiration. Yes.
Alicia.
And also, let's celebrate Michelle. She says she's a 2-year cancer survivor and thriving.
Yay!
Yes. I also want to know, yesterday was National Cancer Survivors Day.
Mhm.
Thank you to you all. We celebrate you. We love you. You all absolutely, absolutely amazing, and we're so happy to have you all here. So I want to ask you another question. So
Mhm.
how did you like? What do you feel is your new mission in life?
My new mission is just to continue doing what I've always done, and that is to
Mhm.
empower women, to inspire women to just live their healthiest version of themselves, to be the healthiest version of themselves. I've always been about empowerment. I've always enjoyed to be empowered, and I love for people to be inspired because I like to be inspired by other people.
Yeah.
So that's just the mission that I'm just going to continue to follow. It's just what I enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had days where I would wake up and, if you're so focused on your small little world and the things that you have going on in your life,
Mm-hmm.
you can, and I've done this myself. You wake up and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm just having such a terrible day or whatever. But then you see what somebody else is going through and the mountain that they are climbing. It really shifts your perspective. And I've had plenty of moments where, I wake up and, I'm just focused on the wrong things. And I see you with your photos, and your hospital visits and things like that. And I'm just like, this woman is amazing. She is superwoman. She's up here kicking cancer's butt, like
Mm-hmm.
with a smile and the makeup on. I mean, you just like, you were doing it up. It was so beautiful. And I was like, I have to reframe my way of thinking and be more positive and intentional about my day because Glennidra, she needs people to show up in her life in any aspect and just be
Mm-hmm.
positive. And everyone needs that. So, I just thank you for just being you and just being so open about your journey. And I just really think it's beautiful.
But I want to say something really quick to
Sure.
anybody that may be watching that feels like they don't have the strength to get through something like this. Don't worry about that because you will be amazed at your strength. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you'll be amazed at how strong you are when it's the only option that you have is to be
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
You know, so just take it day by day. You know, you got this. Y'all got this. I'm telling you, strength comes from places that you never imagined, and it's so possible to get through it. It really is.
Absolutely. It definitely is. My mother-in-law, she says she's always heard from medical professionals that a positive attitude and a strong fighting spirit is the best medicine for cancer or any battle. Ooh, I truly believe that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
people
for
would
sharing
always
that.
tell me, you know, you don't look like what you're going through. You're so happy. You're so positive. But that, like she just said, that was my medicine. That
Mm-hmm.
is what I knew I had to do to survive. So, you know, because something like this plays a trick on the mind, you know, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to not listen to the mind because the mind
Mm-hmm.
tells the body what to do. So I felt like if I stayed positive, even when the days when I felt like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to crawl under a rock, that was my, like she said, that was my medicine. That's what got me through.
Oh, absolutely. So how important, especially now after what you've been through, is self-care to you,
Hmm.
and how important should it be to other women? Because I ask this question because a lot of times I feel like women, we kind of place ourselves at the end of our priority list. We're always thinking about what everyone else want, what the children want. And yes, people do depend on us.
Hmm.
But I truly believe that you can't give what you don't have. And so we have to figure out a way to have our cup full so we can give the excess to other people to keep them nourished. So did you ever have any issues with self-care previously? And, how important is self-care in your life now?
No, I've always practiced self care because I've always known that was important. Because you
Mm-hmm.
have to nourish to flourish, right?
Yes.
So I just want women to understand that you don't have to feel guilty for practicing self care. It's very important. It's important to our minds, our body, and our spirit, and we should not feel guilty for doing so. That is what we need to do. So if
Yeah.
there's anybody out there that's been putting themselves on the back burner and saying, maybe later I'll do this for myself, it doesn't matter what it is, make yourself a priority today. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, this one's a tough one. Debbie said, I lost one of my 9-year-old Girl Scouts to brain cancer, 2 years ago. This Wednesday would have been her 12th birthday. Ooh,
Oh my goodness. I'm so
goodness.
sorry to hear that. That is, oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That is, ooh,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's sad. It's just really, really sad. And
Mm-hmm.
even, the mother of this beautiful 9-year-old, unfortunately, that gained her wings sooner than we would have hoped it would have happened.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine what her mother, her parents are going through right now. And so
Yeah.
our heart pours out to her.
Yes.
And especially this Wednesday, we'll definitely please everyone send a prayer for her mother, her father, and her family members, and also Debbie, to make sure that they're surrounded by love and cherished, because chapters like this are just not easy.
No.
And I can definitely say that from a daughter's perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how do you want people to see you in life?
Um, I just want people to see me as a normal human being that
Yeah,
overcame something very difficult and life changing.
yeah,
I'm deciding that I'm going to continue to live my best life in spite of what I went through. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's very important, because I've heard a lot of people say, who are actually battling different diseases, that they want their family members and their friends to show up as they normally would have showed up. Like if you're the comedian, just make them laugh.
Yes.
If you're the caretaker, just bring over food. Do whatever
Hmm.
you need to do. So I'm curious to see. Oh, thank you to my brother. He said, "Hey sis, can't stay up, but I wanted to support." Very proud of you and love what you're doing. I love you, Amir. He works a late shift. Thank you for coming on. Uh, so yeah, so I've always believed, or I've always heard that people who are going through battles and challenging times, that you want people to show up, in the way that they normally would have showed up in their life. And is it a burden? Like, what do you want people to do when you went through a challenging time? Like, is it okay to say, "What can I do for you?" Or should they just try to figure out something that they could do on their own to try to figure out how they can help and support that fits their personality? Like, what would you say is the best avenue to approach someone who's going through a challenging time?
Well, I would say for me, if you're anything like me, I was someone that never wanted help. Like I was just that person, just never reached out and say, I need help with this. So I had a friend that knew that about me, and she called me and she asked me if she can start a meal train. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh,
She said, I wanted to, she said, I wanted to reach out to you and ask you. She said, because I've known you for years and I know that you've never asked for help. You never want help. You're so private. She said, but I wanted to do something for you. She said, because I know if I asked you, what did you want or what could I do? You would never tell me.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's just best to just come up with something and just roll
yeah.
with it. Yeah. That's
That's
my
great
best
advice.
advice.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice because, I always thought that if someone's going through a challenging time, no matter what it is, if we ask them what they want, then we're kind of putting the responsibility back in their lap and giving them something
Right.
else to do. Does that sound right to you as
That
well?
it makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So what advice would you give to someone else who's experienced some type of health scare?
I would just say to that person that it will be scary. It will feel scary and overwhelming at first, but just know that there's nothing bigger. There's how do I want to put this?
Hmm.
It will be scary because I'm going to tell you I was scared. I was overwhelmed. But you have to stay strong in your faith and find that inner warrior because she's in there. He or she is in
Hmm.
there. You just have to find her.
Yes. Yeah. I have to ask you, when you actually received the diagnosis, what were your initial thoughts? Like, what did you think about initially?
My kids,
Yeah.
my kids.
Yeah.
It's almost like when they were talking to me. Oof. When she was talking to me, for a while, she just went silent. I couldn't even
Yeah.
hear. I couldn't even hear anything she was saying to me. Once
Yeah.
I heard the word cancer, I just thought of my kids.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to even drive back home
Yeah.
and tell them what happened to me? You know?
Yeah.
But, I found the strength to drive home and to sit them down and just to tell them exactly what I was told.
Yeah.
Felt like that was just the only way. But they knew, they saw it in my face. Even though I had wiped all the tears away and I was trying to keep my composure, they knew something was wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of the hardest days of my entire life was to hear that
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I just think that's so natural, especially as a mom, that the first thing that you're going to think about is your babies. I mean, yeah, they
Mhm.
need you. They need us.
Yep.
So yeah. So can you tell us about the light at the end of the tunnel when you went back to the hospital and you received the news from your doctor on the progress that you've made? Can you walk us through that?
Yes. That was a very nervous day. I was nervous, so nervous. Everybody was like, "You need me to go with you?" I'm like, "No, it's good." My husband wanted to take off of work. I'm like, "No, that's good. I can handle this." So I get there to my appointment, and of course, they take your blood pressure and all of that. My blood pressure was sky high, and she said, "I know it's probably because you're nervous." I see it's because I didn't eat anything. It's probably my nerves.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting there waiting, and the doctor walked in the room with the papers in hand, and she was just poker face. Like you couldn't read her. Like I couldn't tell like if it was good news or bad news. So when she sat down and she started going through the papers, I'm like, okay, get with it. Come on, tell me. I was like anxious. And she told me that the pathology report came back and I was cancer free. Lord have mercy. Ooh.
Ah.
I could not fight back the tears for nothing in the world because I had so many people to tell me there was nothing wrong with me. I've been through so many
Yeah.
tests, ultrasounds, mammograms, and they all said I was fine. But she was the only one that was persistent and said, if there's anything there, I'm going to find it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I look at her as like, she saved my life. She really did. You just don't know the steps that she took to make sure that she got every ounce of cancer out of my body that she could.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. That's
When you get,
amazing.
I don't know if you know like the process of a biopsy, but usually when you get a biopsy, it's like they literally tell you where the cancer is, right? So
Mm.
they know where to go in and take those tissue out and get them tested. Or I say cancer, but the suspicious things. But when she went in to remove the tissue that she was supposed to in that small area, she took it upon herself to go further than that. Like, yeah.
Wow.
She didn't know why, but she felt like I need to check here too. I need to check here. I need to check here. And she told me that. She said, and when I checked, there was cancer there too, but it was hiding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I had cancer, like it was there, but it was in more than one area that the mammogram and the ultrasound didn't pick up. So it's like I can't even, like I need to write a book because it's just so much.
You do.
It's just so much to this that I haven't shared, you know. And it's just so beautiful now to think about like how people go to the extremes to save your life, you know. It's amazing. It really is.
And to some people, yeah, Shannon said, write that book, write it. Yep, I agree. Write that book. Yeah, we're putting that out into the universe. We have it documented here today, June 7th. The Glennidra is going to write a book and tell her story. Alicia says, God is good. Debbie says, God is good. Michelle, praise God. We're all so happy
Yes.
that you got some amazing news. And also I want to ask you as well, gosh, this is just, ooh. So, when you actually got your mammogram, is that how they actually discovered it? Like, or I know women, first of all, I want you all to comment in here. Tell us, how often do you believe that you're supposed to be going to the doctor and getting your checks done? So comment in the chat box. I have the answer. But I want you to tell us, how often do you feel like you're supposed to be going to the hospital and getting the test done by a doctor? So, but then Glennidra, I want you to also please explain to us, what we need to be doing and maybe how they actually discovered your cancer, because I know you said they found it in different spots.
So glad you touched on this because I want to tell everybody that I know, just if you feel something is wrong, believe something is wrong. Or don't put it back. Don't forget about it. Because for me, I went for my mammograms as I was supposed to. I did everything I was supposed to do. And my mammograms did not detect cancer. Ultrasounds, I had 3 ultrasounds that did not detect cancer. I was having a discharge in my left nipple. It was discharging blood. And it was only when it was compressed. Um, Sorry about that. It was
No, you're
only
fine.
it was only when it was compressed that the discharge would come out. So I went to my doctor and I'm like, hey, this is going on. And they were like, wow. They initially thought that it could be a papilloma. Well, of course, I got home and started Googling papilloma, like what is the symptoms of a papilloma? But I kept seeing clear discharge for a papilloma. I had blood. So I knew there was something beyond that. Well, like I said, I had numerous of ultrasounds, numerous mammograms, nothing detected it, nothing. I'm telling you, it was only when I went to that breast surgeon and she ordered another biopsy. She read the report, and that's when I got the results that I got. If I had have listened to the radiologist that said, you're fine, you don't need an MRI, you don't need any more testing, there's nothing there but enlarged milk ducts, is what she told me. Who know where?
Oh
I mean,
my
who knows where I
goodness.
would be today? You know. So no, mammograms are not always accurate. Ultrasounds are not always accurate. You just have to follow your gut. If you feel like something is wrong, go get yourself checked out. Because I almost just not even went and got myself checked out because, like I said, it's not something that was going on every single day. It's only when you squeeze it almost. So
Yeah.
I almost didn't go to the doctor, but I'm glad that I did.
We are extremely happy that you did as well. And, there's a powerful message in exactly what you're saying. Like, we are in charge of our own wellness journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it is up to us. I'm not trying to say there aren't amazing doctors and nurses and things like that out there. But at the end of the day, this is our life and we are in charge of it. And it's up to us to stand up for ourselves. So, wow. I mean, I had no idea that this is how, this all came about for you. But I'm so glad that you were persistent and that you pushed, to get the results that you knew in your heart and your spirit that, were there. Wow. That's, Wow. Ooh. Oh, I want to also share this. So Michelle said, my diagnosis manifested with pain in my right underarm. She thought she had pulled a muscle, but it was pain in her lymph nodes and the cancer had spread. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so grateful for you all for sharing this. Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your story. I mean,
y'all continue to share your story because you don't know who you're going to touch. Your stories can heal people.
Yeah.
Like you say, like when Zakia was saying earlier, a lot of people suffer in silence. They don't want to talk about it. But if they see other people talking and sharing their journeys and their stories, that makes them more comfortable with coming out with what they're going through.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Tracy says she works in the health field behind the scenes, and I agree. You must be your own first advocate. Yeah.
Yep. I wouldn't let it go. Just because they told me there was nothing wrong with me, I just didn't want to let it go.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever happens to you in your experience, like you said, the first person that you're going to think about is normally your babies,
right,
your spouse, things like that, where, because these are the people that are going to be impacted. God, if something ever happened to one of us, these doctors, a lot of our associates and friends, they're going to go on about their day. The people who are going to be most impacted are going to be the people who are in your household.
Right.
And so I'm so excited and just happy that you pushed forward because, like you said, you just never knew. You would have never known how this outcome would have been. We wouldn't have been sitting up here probably with you today, or your challenges may have been, even more challenging. You just never know. Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
It's scary. Very scary.
Yeah. And so I see a lot of people commenting once a year. That is correct. The results are, if you're in your 20s and 30s, you should be going to get tested or checked out at least once a year. And I also want to mention, I know this past year, actually probably about 15 to 16 months, we've been going through this pandemic. A lot of people have postponed their doctor's appointments. So I want to strongly encourage everyone who's attending this discussion now to schedule your appointments and get yourself checked out. We do not want to expect anything negative to happen to us. We will always want to expect good results and positive results. But sometimes with this pandemic, it's prevented us from feeling confident and capable of going into the doctor's office. But a lot of us have had our vaccines. And so let's go ahead and schedule our routine appointments and just get ourselves checked out. So we just have peace of mind. Like Glennidra is saying, ultimately, the results of these type of tests are going to have an impact not only on ourselves, but our families. So we just want to continue to make sure that we're doing the right things to keep our body and our minds healthy. Oh, thank you. And then we have Michelle. She said, thanks to my awesome sister, Latita Bryant, for sharing this forum with us. Yes. Thank you to Latita. I appreciate you. And thank you, Michelle, for being here. Glennidra and I are very like-spirited and like-hearted, where we just want to celebrate women. And I'm so happy that she decided to be here. She chose to be here today to share her story. And for anyone who's just joining in now, I was watching Glennidra's story on social media, and I typed messages to her because she had been so open about her experience with cancer. And I was reluctant to message her probably about 3 or 4 times. And I think the first time I messaged you, it was probably like 8 o'clock at night. I was like, just go ahead and message her. And you need to be okay with if she says, no, I don't want to do it, or not right now. Because like we said, we discussed this earlier, it is your right to say that, because people handle challenges that they've gone through in different ways. And that's okay. So I'm just grateful again that you decided to have this discussion with us at Bloom. And obviously you're touching so many lives. So I just want to celebrate you. So I actually want to ask you, so what's driving you today? What wakes you up in the morning? What gets you excited?
The fact that God saved my life twice, and you only know it once, but my life has been spared twice. Yes.
We're
Yes.
ears. Wow.
The first time my life was spared was right before I had a hysterectomy. I had been dealing with a lot of heavy bleeding, no energy. I've always been an active person, and I couldn't cut my grass. I couldn't sweep. I couldn't mop anything without just feeling like I wanted to pass out. But I contributed all of that to, okay, I was on my cycle the month before, so I lost a lot of blood, so that's why I'm weak, right? I was trying to play doctor with myself.
Yeah.
But it had gotten so bad to where I had to go to see somebody. And I went in one day to see a doctor that my gynecologist had referred me to. And they ran some routine blood tests, and she told the people, I want them back stat. Like, that means like you need to work on this right now. So she started looking at my hands and all of that, and I really didn't know why she was doing that, but she was saying that I was just white as a ghost. Like I had no blood flow anywhere, not in my eyes, not in my
Oh.
hands. Like all of my hands were white. So I was so tired, y'all. Like I was so tired that day. I was on my cycle that day. I started not to go. Like let me remind you, I started not to go to that appointment because I was bleeding so heavy. But I went and I told the lady, I was like, you know what? I really want to go home and take a shower. Like I just feel awful. And she was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. She said, but if we need you to come back, we're going to call you. Girl, it wasn't even, I hadn't even made it 5 minutes from the hospital and they were calling me.
Oh,
Turn
wow.
around right now. They were telling me, turn around right now and get back to the ER or go to the ER. And I was like, what? The ER for what? Hard-headed me, didn't do it. I went straight home, took a shower, got in the bed. I didn't do it
Oh, wow. Yeah.
because I was so tired and drained. And then I got a phone
Yeah.
call from my mom, and she was like, what did the doctor say? And I was telling her, she said, if you don't get your behind up right now and get back to that ER like they told you, y'all, I had nobody to drive me. Nobody. So I drove myself. Me and my daughter went back to the ER. It was late. And they did, all this stuff. They sent me back there. The doctors came in, and the nurse told me, she said, I don't know who drove you here, but you didn't. She said it was definitely God. She said, because you did not drive
Oh.
yourself. There is no way. There is no way you could have.
Whoa.
They were telling me, she was showing me like they put an IV in my arm and they were drawing blood. I think they were drawing blood or something. I don't remember because it's been like 6 years ago. And she said there was nothing there. Like the fluid that was going through that tube was almost white, clear. There was no color to it. So I had hardly any blood left in my body.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, like, people were like swarming the room, like doctors and nurses were like coming in and peeking in and everything. And I'm like, still out of it, like not understanding. And she was telling me, she said, what I see right now in you is what we see in trauma patients that are dying.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. She said, you're lucky. She said, you're lucky. So I had to stay overnight, well, 3 days in the hospital, get blood transfusions and all of that. And it's just like, I felt like God spared my life then, because what if I hadn't got up and went back to the ER? I don't know what would have happened, because I had literally hardly any blood. They couldn't even do emergency surgery because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to do emergency surgery to take out my uterus because that's where the problems was arising, right? And they couldn't do it. They had to give me blood, put me on pills, and then do the surgery, because they said if we do surgery tonight or tomorrow, you will die because you do not have enough blood to lose. Yeah. So
Oh
I
my
call this my
goodness.
second time God spared me.
Oh my goodness. Yes, Debbie, I agree with you. She's not lucky. She is blessed.
Mm-hmm. So I
Yes.
know he spared my life twice. So I know I have a purpose here on earth. And I'm going to work every single day until I fulfill that, whatever it is, because I know it's something.
Oh my goodness. It's something amazing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
God definitely has some amazing things in store for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you have your arms open and ready to receive it too. That's the
Ready to
best part.
receive. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I also want to mention to people, I know you mentioned, especially with your diagnosis of cancer, that you had several doctors and technicians that kind of disregarded you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a history, not I think, I know there's a history, especially among women, but especially among African American women, where we go into the hospital and the doctors and they don't believe our trauma and our pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to tell everyone, if like Glennidra says, if you have a feeling in your gut and your spirit that is something is not right, we need to treat these doctors like they are our employees,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they are. They're there to work for us. And I'm not saying that in a demeaning way. What I'm saying that is in a way where I want us to feel empowered to take charge of our own wellness experience. That's what we're about here at Bloom. And make sure that if we have a doctor or a nurse that is not listening to us and prioritizing our health concerns, that we remove them from their position of authority in our life and hire someone else.
Right.
Okay. So in Glennidra's story is 100% proof that you have to, and we, especially as women, have to prioritize ourselves to make sure that we're going to be healthy and happy and whole, because people need us and we need you. I need you. Glennidra needs you.
Yes.
And this is a circle for us to come together and to celebrate one another. And I want to actually highlight Shayna, because she says, I have a cancer genetic testing that's scheduled for this month because my mom had it. Both grandmothers on both sides of my families have had it as well. So I want to kudos to you for scheduling the test and being proactive and taking charge of your life. I think that is wonderful. And I just want to celebrate you for that. And thank you so much for sharing that as well. So I want to ask you, I feel like you're just such an interesting person. You have such an amazing mission in life and amazing stories to share. Do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with our audience today?
First and foremost, I would say love yourself. Okay. Be clear about who you are and what you stand for. And know your worth always.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I want to leave you with.
Yeah. Know your worth. Know your worth. Okay, so how can people stay connected with you throughout your journey? And so let's be honest, we want to be first in line for this book. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Glennidra Ruiz, or over on Instagram, Living on Purpose with G Ruiz. So yeah, that's where you can follow my journey. Like I said, my journey now is in the health and wellness industry. So, I'm starting to work out more. I'm starting to put myself first, changing my diet, implementing some good supplements into my diet. So that is the first step that I'm taking now. And I am really enjoying where my life is going. I'm just enjoying it. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And we're enjoying seeing you happy and fulfilling your dreams and God's purpose for your life. It's been an absolute joy to witness you throughout your entire journey. Before we leave, I also want to say and thank everyone for attending today. I'm not even gonna lie, I was actually nervous about having this conversation because cancer is very personal in my family as well, and it's personal to you. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having the strength to not only endure the challenges that you've had, but to actually use your experience to help others. Guys, y'all, people just don't know, how much that takes out of a person. And I don't even know, because because your experience is not my experience, but I just want to tell you that I appreciate you for being here and for being so open, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are saving lives. Even if someone doesn't come to you and say that you're saving their lives, your early detection saves lives, as you already obviously know.
Yes.
And I'm just grateful for you for being open and vulnerable about your experience and sharing it with us today. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. And to anyone that's new here to Bloom, I just want to give you a brief overview of what we do here. So this was another amazing, powerful story where we celebrate amazing women and their accomplishments here in life. We have weekly discussions every Monday at 1 p.m. Central and 2 p.m. Eastern, and we talk about various different topics of health and wellness, fitness, beauty, self-confidence, you name it. Here at Bloom, we're here for you. And if you want to continue to join us every week, just like our page, and you'll receive the notifications, and make sure you follow us as well. Glennidra, it has been an absolute honor. We love you.
Love
and
you guys.
y'all, listen, this journey, she is cancer free. We're going to celebrate her. We have to continue to pray for our queens, though.
Yes.
Michelle, I believe, also had an experience with cancer. Pray for Michelle also. We have got to celebrate each other and make sure that we are pouring into each other, ladies. We have got to do this for one another. Mm-hmm. Yes, we'll be waiting for your book. So yes, let's just continue to pray for her, surround her with our well intentions. And I love you guys. Thank you again. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.